gonna wait. I'm gonna wait just a little bit longer. I'm gonna pray. Home in me.
We are a nation of prayer. America prays. Each day, millions of our citizens bow their heads in silence and solitude.
The group in this country that most resembles the Taliban, ironically, is the religious right.
Attaboy! Spoken like a true Catholic. Christopher Hitchens versus Pastor Douglas Wilson. Is Christianity a force for good in the world? You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show. That is our topic of debate. We have a lot of people on the line who want to get in the discussion. Christopher and Pastor Wilson both say they like taking calls when they do these types of events, and so we're going to go to the lines. Let's go to Tony, Bowling Green, Kentucky, line 10. Tony.
Yes, thank you. First of all, let me preface this. I'm an author, a filmmaker. I'm in the financial services business. I'm on TV weekly, taking calls.
All right.
But I'm also a Christian. I'm a follower of Christ. I haven't been all my life. I have a background in psychology. And here's what I found. I was reading from Jonathan Edwards this morning, who I'm sure both you gentlemen know. And basically, you have two types of knowledge. You have the natural knowledge that we all learn, and then we have the understanding that comes from God through His Spirit. And what I'm hearing as we debate this is it's proof that the knowledge, both these gentlemen can gain as much knowledge as they want to, but the understanding comes through the Spirit of God. So I believe churches have lost focus on this. We can learn all we want to, but in my own life, without God's Spirit, without His Word meshed with the Spirit, this knowledge I'm acquiring while I'm here in the natural form does me little or no good.
Right. Well, Christopher, you said that during the break, and I appreciate the call, Tony. You said during the break that maybe you're just DNA. You're just not made to believe. You're not made to feel that Spirit. Because the Holy Spirit is obviously, when people talk about the Holy Spirit, it's not something you see. It's not something you can quantify. No, and is it something you can prove? No, it is not.
No, it's certainly not anything that Tony from Bowling Green can prove either. And to me, his statements about the Spirit and the animating Spirit and all of that are literally meaningless. In some ways, the statement that there is no God is as meaningless to me as the statement that there is, because I think there's no such entity to be discussed. That's why I insist again that all that atheists say is that there's no reason to believe, there's no argument ever been put forward, or let alone any evidence.
What of all of the martyrs over the years for Christianity, especially the early martyrs? St. Peter crucified upside down because he didn't think he deserved to be crucified upright like Christ was. He was that in awe of the man that he followed and personally knew. Was this just all some type of psychological fantasy on the part of the early disciples?
With all religions, I find that concept of martyrdom morbidly fanatical. It doesn't impress me at all. It fills me with a strong revulsion.
No, when people were asked, if you renounce Christ in Rome, you'll go into this area, you'll live. If you do not renounce Christ, you're going to your death now, and it's going to be an ugly death. Thousands upon thousands. The catacombs are filled with people who would not deny Christ, but they're just part of the fanatical.
Well, huge killing fields have been filled with people who were given the same choice by Christians. You either convert or you're a dead person, and you'll be tortured before that happens. Not only that, you'll be tortured after you're dead. So, no, you can't impress me that way, darling. You shouldn't try.
It's all in John Lennon. It's all in John Lennon. Nothing to kill or die for.
Well, I don't believe that. I most emphatically don't believe that.
Oh, yeah. So you've just said nothing to die for, but there is something to kill for?
I didn't say nothing to die for.
But you would certainly die for... But, Christopher, you understand the idea of self-sacrifice, personal sacrifice for someone else. And if you...
I think self-immolation is morbid and fanatical.
Right, but
I think there are things for which I'm prepared to risk my life.
What would you die for?
The defense of the Enlightenment and of the free expression and free inquiry.
What's the Enlightenment?
The Enlightenment is begins with the replacement of religion by philosophy and science and free inquiry, and the separation of the church and the state.
No, Christopher, no. Both religion and philosophy, both of those things, are nothing but random neuron firings in protoplasm's heads.
I'm sorry to hear you say it.
Well, I'm not saying it. What I'm saying is that is the logical conclusion of the presuppositions that you have embraced.
That suggests I need to... Well, don't you find it rather servile to say of yourself that you need divine permission to think? That without a God, that's all you'd be?
I don't need divine permission to think. I need a divine
free will is obviously integral to Christian thought. Free will is where we are.
No, free will is not actually, or because I don't think, because when you ask Christians about it, they say God's given us free will, which is a nonsensical proposition. When I'm asked about free will, I say, yes, I think we have it because I think we have no choice. At least I know I'm being ironic. Those who say, yes, we've got free will because the boss says we have, are uttering an absurdity.
Why are we different from the animals that roam the earth? What makes us different as man?
In what respect?
Opposable thumbs.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about emotion.
From our nearest relatives, our nearest kin, about whom we're only just beginning to learn, the other primates, we have bigger prefrontal lobes than them and better thumbs. We still have very much of the same anatomy, the anatomy of the savannah that we escaped from. The appendix, all that kind of thing, the wisdom teeth. We show all, as Darwin puts it, all the stamp of our lowly origin. We're the only ones who can laugh, and we're the only ones who know for sure that we're going to die. And we're the only ones who think that arrangements can be made, that if we perform the right rituals and propitiations, we won't die, or we'll survive it.
And Mark Twain says that we're the only animal that blushes and the only one that needs to.
Let's go to Beth in Acton, Mass. WRKO, our great affiliate outside of Boston. Beth, welcome.
Hi, I'm a hospice nurse, and I watch people die for a living. People are not animated by an electrical impulse, or I could keep them alive indeterminately. People have a soul. You can feel it when they die. You watch them struggle to die. And it's amazing to me that Christopher Hitchens thinks that somehow, he has such hubris to think that God has to impress him for him to believe in God. Wisdom comes from God, and you clearly aren't asking for it, and that's why you don't have it. I've helped babies when they are born, and I've helped people when they die. Christopher, you get a little piece of time, and if you don't do what's right and you don't love people, death is a frightening thing, and it's coming to all of us.
What do you think happens to you when you die, Christopher?
Well, that's it. It's sad to say, but it's annihilation. You won't see me again. I'm resigned to it. I don't say I'm happy about it.
Is that part
Now, what the lady just said, by the way, could be said by any person who believed in any god, any cult, any supernatural entity. It's nothing to do with Christianity. I thought we decided we'd have to, in today's time, do Christianity only. But she would be, if she was in Saudi Arabia, a very good Muslim. Just on the animals, by the way, primates do show signs of having emotions, of having solidarity with one another, charity, family.
Yep.
They can feel fear. They seem to feel something like amusement. We're not absolutely sure, and it's not laughter, but it's very clear where we've come from, and to make that seem as if it was a divine design is, to borrow the word the lady just used, hubris.
Let's go to Daniel, Ogden, Utah, KLO, and then you can get in, Pastor Wilson.
Right.
Hey, Daniel.
If we die, wouldn't it be better just to believe in a God anyway? Because if we were wrong,
it's a big gamble to be wrong on this one, Christopher.
Well,
it's not like being at the track and putting going for the trifecta and losing $10.
I've studied Pascal, and I think it's rightly called a wager, what the gentleman just postulated, and a wager in the strict sense of a vulgar inducement and a gamble and a flutter on the races.
What's the downside, though?
The downside is this, that you don't have the option of saying, when you die, and you find that you were wrong, and you are in fact confronted with your maker, you don't have the option of saying to him, well, I really didn't believe in you. You gave me no persuasive reason to do so. Is there nothing in your world, in your morality, for the honest doubter? You'd rather have someone who decided to bet on you in the hope of
Mother Teresa, who you maligned,
in the hope of doing you a favor.
Lovely in your book. I mean, she was a doubter. She doubted her whole life.
I didn't malign her. I just told the truth about her.
She
which was malign.
Was a doubter. I'm getting to the doubt.
Yes, I know she was riddled with doubt.
She and most of us who believe, I mean, we have moments of doubt. We have moments of great struggle. That is also part of the human psyche.
But her doubt was the explanation of her extreme fanaticism. Her cure for her unwillingness to believe was to pile on more and more and more faith, and to say more and more that the church was inerrant and, if anything, was too liberal.
Could I go back to
Go ahead, Pastor Wilson. Go ahead. Yeah.
Pascal's wager said basically you should, and whether, I'm going to leave aside whether Pascal himself was being ironic with it, whether he was seriously advancing it. But the wager itself, as it's usually discussed, presents the unbeliever as, why don't you believe in God as just a form of fire insurance? Just believe in God, and if you're wrong, you're terribly, you're not terribly wrong at all. If there's nothingness after we die, then